All right, on this episode, we're going to be talking POTA. All right, now talking about POTA, and we're not talking about POTA, which is different. We're talking about POTA, which is Parks on the Air. Parks on the Air is a spinoff of the very popular National Parks on the Air event that the ARRL put on in 2016. National Parks on the Air contest came about after the success of the Centennial contest. And it was hugely popular, great success, wanted to keep rolling on that. So the National Parks on the Air came about, and that kind of spun off and got a whole bunch of other people interested in just parks on the air. So they're not all national parks, they're state parks. There is a ton of them, 5,463 parks in the U.S. listed on the POTA website. Links to all this will be in the description. National Parks on the Air, Parks on the Air. They have their own website. It's pretty good list of activators and the parks, all the numbers and some stats. As of this moment in time of shooting this, there are 602,838 total POTA contacts, 435,647 being on phone, and 159,636 on CW. Imagine that, okay? We don't even test for CW anymore, but it's still an active mode. And then in data, there are 7,556 contacts currently listed in the data. I would imagine most of those are probably FT8. So that's a lot from 2016. I'm going to guess this. I think this started probably 2017, so 3 years later, and already over a 500,000 queues just at this event alone. The local radio club, YCARS, we visited their shack a while back. Steve, W3PSC, is real big into the POTA, Parks on the Air, loves camping, and is really kind of fairly new to it, but is really, really active in it, and really, really enjoys it, knows a lot about it. So one of the activations we have here from the Andrew Jackson State Park in Lancaster County, in the greater state of South Carolina, YCARS was setting up a POTA activation. So him and John and a bunch of them got together. They did a whole activation, and we get to sit down with Steve a little bit, and we get to have a little talk. Now that interview ended up being a lot longer than we anticipated, which is a good problem to have. So I think what I'm going to do is post the full interview in its entirety later, but we get into some other things, but this is mostly about the POTA. So that's what's in this. Take a look. All right, welcome in, guys. We are at Andrew Jackson State Park in Lancaster County, South Carolina, just across the line from York County. The guys over at the local radio club, we did the shack tour a while back. Well, Steve here is real big into the POTAs, Parks on the Air. So he travels around, and he's been doing a lot. So they were setting up out here, so I thought I'd come out and we'll talk to him, see what it's all about. It's kind of similar to, it's got a field day vibe to it.
It does.
So Steve, introduce yourself.
I'm Steve Tchaikovsky, W3SPC, and I'm kind of have the reputation of being the POTA guy here in the club. Kind of merges two big interests of mine, which is camping. Do a lot of family camping. I found myself getting back into ham radio about 2 years ago after being off the air for about 23 years. And found myself originally camping in like commercial campgrounds, and then we gravitated to state parks, and then almost exclusively we're camping in state parks. I learned about the Parks on the Air program, and I said, well, why don't I start bringing a radio with me? And so now that's kind of become somewhat of a passion of mine, is I love going to state parks, throwing some wires up in a tree, and getting on the air while I'm there.
This is Kilo 4 Yankee Tango Zulu. You are 5'9", into Park 2883. That's Andrew Jackson State Park in South Carolina. Over.
Yeah, QSL, John. This is Charlie in southern Indiana. And you're 5'9". Go ahead.
Now you say you took a little break from the hobby. I did too. Mine was just life gets in the way. You start growing up. What happened to you?
So I got licensed real early. I got my novice at 9, and technician at 10, and general at 12.
I was 14 when I started, yeah.
So all throughout growing up, my dad was a real active ham, and actually everybody in my immediate family got their ticket. Was real active all through school, and then when I left home, well, I didn't have radio money. That was beer money. So
Beer and girl money.
you know, and then ended up dating, getting in relationships, got married, had kids, and
a sidebar, ham radio is not a very sexy hobby to most women.
No. So
you got to play that down a little bit till you set the hook.
And literally, I was out camping at the base of the Fontana Dam. We were the only people in the entire campground. We had a nasty storm come through. We're talking 60+ mile an hour winds. Whole camper is shaking like we're in an earthquake. And my wife looked at me and she goes, "There's no cell service. My God, if something actually happened, how would we call for help?" And it just clicked. I was like, I need to start leveraging my ticket again. The next month, I bought a Yaesu FTDX 1200, threw a wire up in the trees behind the house, got back on the air.
So you've kind of really the past 5 or 6 years become active again? Is that
last
about
2
the
years?
time?
2 years.
Last 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. After that, before that, I hadn't made a contact almost 25 years.
More time.
Sure, it's Kilo 4 Yankee Tango Zulu. We are the York County Amateur Radio Society, York County, South Carolina.
So how many parks have you activated?
I've only activated about 6 parks now.
6 parks.
So there's.
Have you been to some of them multiple times?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So when you get into Parks on the Air, you find a lot of park activators that they want to activate absolutely as many parks as possible, and that's the thrill of them, or for them is. There's even some operators that'll do 4, 5, 6 parks in a single day, right? So they just drive around, throw up a real quick portable setup, the minimum 10 contacts that they need to declare it an activation, and move on to the next one. I have the whole opposite approach to Parks on the Air. For me, I like to do multiple day activations or multiple activations in a week, where I'll set up camp for generally 3 to 6 days. And I'll get on the air every day that I'm there, and it's not uncommon for me to leave the park with 600, 700, 800 contacts for the week.
Well, I know you've mentioned, or I've heard you talk about you doing that, and like a lot of these guys are ecstatic that you're on in the middle of the week, and not just on the weekend, and in the middle of the day.
Oh yeah.
And so that's kind of I guess an odd thing to run into. It's a little hard, and I can imagine that for most people, unless you're retired, and that's just kind of.
Yeah, so pretty much a program within POTA called, or something you could do called a late shift activation, and your late shift is between 0 Zulu and 12 o'clock Zulu. So that's the late shift activators, and you get almost exclusively campers, because most state and national parks, they close their gates at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. So, you'd get, to hit that 0 UTC, you'd be getting there when the park closes, right? The problem with a lot of daytime activations is it leads itself to either weekends or retirees doing the activations. And then a lot of the younger guys that want to hunt those parks, they're at work during the day. So they miss a lot of contacts. So what I like to do is enjoy the park while I'm there all day long. Take the 2 boys, we fish, hike, geocache, go explore the state park. Once it's time to let the kids wind down, they can get their iPads, go lay down in bed, and it's time for Dad to get on the air. And it's not uncommon to have 2-3 hour-long pile-ups nonstop, and they'll keep calling until I shut off the radio.
Well, just a little bit. I've been here. I'm you got somebody to spot you, and that always helps.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting over there listening, I mean, it was pretty much one after another. There were a couple times, you have them on top of each other, but it's definitely solid and consistent.
Oh, yeah. And you could probably do that for a good several hours.
And for a temporary setup, so you've activated 6 different parks.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing the POTA program for what, 2 years? Have you been doing that for 2 years?
No,
or when did you really ramp up?
It's really not only been about the last 7-8 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it was fall, I guess, last year when I started getting into it bigger.
Well, the program's kind of new because that started with the national parks on the air,
Exactly.
and that spun off this whole other. You got any parks on your bucket list that you want to do? Not necessarily as an activation, but just to visit.
Oh yeah, so
that's another question. How many have you just camped at?
So it all started Falls Lake State Recreation Area outside of Durham, North Carolina. That was the first POTA activation that I did. And then I had so much fun with that, it became an addiction. And I've really only ventured out to fairly local parks. My bucket list is I'd like to activate at least all the state parks in South Carolina.
Okay, so that's.
I got a long way to go.
How many are there?
I don't even remember. 60, something like that.
That's a lot.
There's a lot.
That's a lot. But the good news is, we live close to a handful of them.
Absolutely. And I've been to all the ones that.
Yeah. Well, those are the easy ones, right?
Lake Watery, I think, is the only one within an hour I haven't been to yet.
Charlie 9?
Kilo Charlie 9, uniform Julian for Papa. I have you 5858 into Indiana, Roger.
Roger the 58 Indiana. Can I get your full call again? I got Kilo Charlie 9 uniform and you got stepped on.
Roger, uniform Julian Papa.
Roger, 59 Kilo dash 2883. That's Lancaster County, South Carolina, Andrew Jackson State Park.
Roger, thank you for the Kilo 2883. Have a good day.
7-3. This is Kilo 4 Yankee Tango Zulu QRZ.
Steve, thanks for the time. We're going to let you guys get back, having some fun.
Thanks, bro.
But I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to them.
Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so if you got any questions about POTA, visit their website. And the link's in the description below. You can contact Steve. You can look him up on QRZ. I'm sure he'll be happy to talk. But keep a lookout for it. It's a very interesting thing. If you like to camp, it's got a real field day vibe to it. So if you kind of enjoy that, you'll probably enjoy putting some parks on the air. So if you plan on doing that, or if you like to do that, want to give it a shot, maybe you want to set up as be an activator, go out, activate, get some cues in your log, have a good time. It's also a good way to test like your go kit and stuff of that nature, your emergency stuff. So if you just want to exercise it out, if you want an excuse to go play radio, if you're going camping and want to play radio while you're doing that, have at it. Thanks for joining us, guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you hadn't already done that. If you really like what you saw, hit the mash the bell icon. Mash it good. And that will really help us out, and I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the next one. Is that better? Is it better? You'll miss it. No idea what to do. None. What? Still crap? Not exactly sure what else to do. These guys are teetotal. This guy back here, I got this guy yelling at me. I got the dog is asleep down here. Bless his heart. Where's